Okay, it's 1:30 in the morning. I gotta get to number 30 at 8, and I can't sleep. So I just saw a female user who hates Gail, and I really, really commend her for that. You know, I just wanted to let everyone know, and anyone who's in defense of people like Gail, that people like Gail are doing a real disservice to women. No matter what Gail says and how she says she's pro woman and all this bullshit, she's really doing a disservice to women. And I can explain this. It's relatively simple. I know Gail doesn't care about men or what men think of her, but when she says that, reinforcing the patriarchy and all this bullshit that radical feminists who are, schizophrenic conspiracy theorists believe in. That's really what it does is, it reinforces in men's minds that people like Gail and Andrea Dworkin and Catherine McKinnon and all these people don't realize is that they are doing a big disservice to women. And I know they don't care about men. I know they don't care about, if you're a guy, they don't care about you. They want to kill you. Okay? If they could kill you, they would kill you. Yeah? So, it's war between us and them. I'm not saying all women. I'm not at all. I understand the concept of individualism. I know not all women are like that. I'm saying women like Gail, Catherine McKinnon, and Andrea Dworkin, they are just anti-male bigots, to say the least. They just hate men, and they want women to have power instead of really understanding the concept of what is actually equality. But and they just don't think anyone should have sex, and we should, eliminate the human race because without men there'd be no women, obviously, and they just want a world with all women and find some way to splice eggs to reproduce or blah blah blah. They're just anti-sex, anti-male, anything, and I'm gonna go as far as to say they're anti-human because of that. But, Gail, you and Catherine McKinnon and Andrea Dworkin, who's dead now, and no one misses her except for you, can go live in some, I don't know what you call it, cult or external uh, form of government where they're only uh, females and no men are allowed or whatever. You're allowed to do that if you want to find some remote island, I don't know where, and make a no men allowed society. You're free to do that. But there are still men in this world, Gail, and I don't know if all you're trying to do is make money. If that's your objective, if it is, go on and keep doing what you're doing. But if you actually have a message, which, I think you're trying to do, I think it's a really bad job. You're doing a really bad job of it. But if you actually have some sort of a message, I would recommend that you stop doing what you're. If your message is more important than you making money, I would recommend that you stop doing what you're doing and think about this for a minute because this is really off-putting to all men, saying that we want to take your porn away from you. I see a lot of this in the religious right. They say, "Oh, we want to take your," or just severe conservatives who are part of the religious right and just severe. They say we want to take your porn away from you, and oh yeah, we want to throw a gun in your hand for some reason, even if you don't want a gun, or you think you can't handle the responsibility of a gun or whatever. We'd rather have you have a gun in your hand than a bottle of vodka or a penthouse, a bottle of Grey Goose or a penthouse. It's stupid. It's a really stupid argument because you can do a lot more damage with a gun than you can probably with a bottle of Grey Goose if you know how to use it responsibly, which is pretty easy to do, or a penthouse if you know how to use it responsibly, which is also pretty easily to do. It's a lot harder to, a lot easier to take a gun out, but I don't think Gail is in favor of that at all. I have heard that argument in the last week, but I digress from my point that Gail is really doing a disservice to women. It's a real turnoff to men, what you say. I mean, there are some women who are for women's rights that a lot of men agree with. The she's a slut, he's a stud concept. I'm not arguing with that. That's not something I have that's not a problem, really. A lot of guys don't think that's a problem. It's a double standard. If you want to go against double standards, that's okay. If you want to go against that double standard and then extend the right to women to view pornography, I have no problem with that at all. But, Gail, you keep saying that, men who view pornography are somehow rapists, or rape is somehow. I heard you say men taking women up on some type of offer is rape, which is jaw dropping and a complete disservice to women, regardless of what you may think. These people, like Gail, talk about, like, she referenced a book called Transforming a Rape Culture. And whenever I hear anything about rape culture, I always have to wonder, if we live in a rape culture, why is it illegal? And I mean, they say everything's rape. This is rape. That's rape. If I touch my penis, that's rape. If I look at a woman's ass as I walk past her, that's somehow rape. I mean, guys do that subconsciously. I don't care what you think. Whatever goes on in the privacy of your own mind, Gail, is your own business. And I don't know if you even extend that courtesy to people. I could think, I really want to fuck that girl. I just want to take her pants off right now and fuck her right here in public. And I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. It may pass through my mind, but that doesn't make... I'm not going to do it. There is no way I'm going to do that. So, the probability that I will do that is 0. Okay? So... You're probably going to go ahead and say that I'm a rapist or a potential rapist, even though the probability that I'm going to do that is absolutely 0. Knowing you. And that's really just a sick thing. I did know that you go against the Duke lacrosse boys, too, and I mean all that. But... Gail, this is a real disservice to women. What you just what you do is, women like you, Gail. Now, I'm not saying all women are like this, but you make me want to not talk to women. You sort of reinforce more chauvinist concepts in my mind. I start to, I did have a chauvinistic period. I'm sort of past that now, but it still reinforces some of that in my mind. There are some things that I have to agree with. That men don't have the rights that some women do, and I think it's bullshit, and we should extend those rights to men. And that, if like a woman assaults a man with a chainsaw, he doesn't deserve... I mean, we live in a place where guns exist. Fuck. I mean, when people say men are stronger than women, yeah, guns exist. We live in a world with guns. I'm not a fan of guns. I don't jerk off to guns like the rest of the country does. The only place I ever plan to use a gun is when I'm playing Xbox. Maybe playing Gears of War. But that's it. Okay? So why don't we try to eliminate these double standards in sociology, just society, and in the law, that men may not get the same protections that women do. I just think it's a human rights issue, and that we should all go in with human rights. But Gail doesn't think that men should have the same rights as women, or that we need to take men's rights away, um, to make them even with women, instead of giving women the right to have sex if they please to, say, or women uh, have have the knowledge that, okay, we all, here's a great example. We all know that all men masturbate. Okay, if a guy I know a guy who says he hasn't jerked off since the 7th grade because he's a religious cunt, but he has. Okay, we know that he's a liar, implying that he just sinned because he lied. But yeah, all men masturbate. We all know that. If you say that you don't masturbate, that's bullshit. Why don't we live in a society where we know that all women masturbate? Because I bet they do, and I mean that's okay. They're deemed a slut if they have any sexual cravings, or if they masturbate, or if they view pornography, or whatever. Why don't we attack that concept? And instead of saying men can't view pornography and all men are rapists and all men have the potential to commit rape, which is just bigotry to begin with. I mean, there are cases where women commit rape. I mean, if some 400-pound woman put a gun to my head, I mean, and said, eat my pussy or die, I don't know what you're going to say about that, Gail, but that's rape. That is that is the definition of rape. You probably think that we want to fuck anything that has a vagina, but we don't. I don't want to fuck you, Gail. That's another example. You passed your expiration date 20 years ago. I'm like 15 or 52, so I'll go with 15. But the big thing that is really true is, a lot of feminism started off in the right direction and it went off the planet. A lot of these organizations went to trying to get women's equality, which is great, totally agree. And now they're going into bashing men and saying, a lot of them go into the point that women are better than men or whatever. Women now desert because men have been in power for so long, and now we need to flip it around, and it's bullshit. Jordan Owen commented on how it's in his book. It'll just be a never-ending cycle, because in 10,000 years, men will say, "Hey, now we're oppressed. Now we want to get our," and then it just goes on and on and on and on and on, and it's just the wars go on, the years go by. No one wins. So, Gail, what you're doing is just, I mean, why don't you think about one of my heroes, Martin Luther King? He did not promote black, the concept that black people deserve power over white people. He promoted equality. And that's why I liked him, and I do not like Malcolm X. Malcolm X was very violent. He did not promote equality, and what would have happened is, of course, black people would have had power over white people, and then in 10,000 years, white people would say, "Hey, we've been oppressed so long," and forgot the time that white people were in power, and then they'll demand their equality, and they just fight and fight and fight. So, Gail, what you do is a complete disservice to women because of this, and it's a real turn off to men, and it makes men just want to, it reinforces, hey, I want to look at more porn and defend this industry even more. And I probably wouldn't even be putting this video up, Gail, if you didn't exist, just to let you know. I wouldn't be having to defend this industry if you didn't exist. And I would still view pornography if you didn't exist because it's pleasurable. But I wouldn't have to bear down and grit my teeth and try to block. It's like you're trying to attack me, and then I have to just block constantly. rather than just me, you know, mind my own business and fuck off. Well, I'm not. Well, I can't do that because you're in the way, basically. Okay, you're impinging on the rights of others. Really, is what you're trying to do, and take the rights from others away. And that's a real turn off to not just men but the women as well, because women enjoy pornography regardless of what you think, and you're trying to say, oh, women shouldn't view. I don't. I mean, I don't care. You're a flake, Gail, and really, you are dumber than a bag of hammers. I don't care what you're gonna say about me. I don't care if you have a PhD or whatever. You know, Kent Hovind claims to have a PhD, and you are the Kent Hovind of feminism. I mean, it's like these people who think the world's 6,000 years old. Yeah, they could have a PhD, but how the fuck is the world 6,000 years old? That's like saying my jizz created a universe or something. I mean, or my every sperm is a person, and I don't know. I've wiped entire civilizations off of my chest with a sock or whatever. Gail, you are doing one of the biggest disservices to women by saying that, because I mean, I don't know if you realize this, but not just me, but other men in general are completely turned off by your arguments and want to bear down and reinforce what we're doing and call women sluts. I don't do it because, I have more class than that. But there are lots of men out there who are going to do that. And, what you do tries to withdraw us from women and look at more porn and think that we're going to get accused of rape because you're going to say we're all rapists. So we're going to look at more porn because of that, because if we have sex with a woman, we're going to be afraid to deal with the rape. Sex is a big issue of trust, and we're not going to trust women because you say everything's rape. So we'll look at more porn. So I'll just conclude with that. Let you think about that, Gail. There are women who make false accusations of rape. I was born in 1989. That puts me at 17 in 2006, when the Duke Lacrosse case happened. Okay, that was right when I graduated high school. I graduated in '07. Right before I graduated, Roy Cooper, pretty much the guy who replaced Nifong on the trial, said, we're going to throw this whole case out. This is bullshit, basically. He said, today we're dismissing all charges. These three young men are the only victims. Now, I don't know what you think, Gail. I'd like to hear your take on this, and it's probably something jaw-dropping. But yes, we know women make false accusations of rape. And when you say everything's rape, this is rape, that's rape, whatever, I mean, it's... A, it's doing a disservice to the victims of rape. B, it's reinforcing in our minds that we could be victims of a false accusation of rape. Because it happens. We've seen it happen. Okay? And it's very scary. But I'll conclude on that note by saying Gail Dines, no matter what she thinks, is pretty obvious, is doing a complete disservice to women.